Well, hello there. Welcome to the Obi Thorn Alliance. I'm Jacob.
I'm Luke.
And in today's video, we are doing a Peacemaker first impressions from episode 1. And like and subscribe, help out the channel, hit the notification bell. So, what's your thoughts going into episode 1? Did you like it as much as, I guess, leading up to how the show was going?
Yeah, I think the trailer made out the show is going to be it's going to be more funny and less serious than a lot of other DC things that have came out. I think the show lived up to that. I've seen the one episode, you've seen 3.
Yeah.
And I thought it was quite funny what I saw in the first one. I don't really know where the story's going yet, but I do like how it's going. So John Cena obviously quite makes this. I think any other actor, it would have been hard to find someone that would have quite had the same appeal. But I'm liking it so far. I think it's not meant to be too serious, which is good. What are your thoughts from the first episode?
From the first episode, I think it's less action than I guess you would expect from how Peacemaker was in the Suicide Squad's movie, but I think it sets up with comedy and more who the players are going to be very well. Not everything has to be action, and I thoroughly enjoyed the first episode. A lot of funny moments, and wasn't expecting the intro to be as how it was. How did you like the intro?
Yeah, the intro is very funny with the dancing, and it was just different, you know. It was set up, choreographed dancing of the characters from the show. It's not, I can't think of anything else or any other show that's done that, but it was funny. It did make me laugh. It was one of the more unique intros. One thing I liked about the show was that it tied in with the Suicide Squad movie really well. They mention it to it and has reoccurring characters. So I think it's DC's attempt of kind of doing what Marvel have, where they're tied in, the movies and shows can tie into each other, and that works really well. What do you think about how they try to tie it in?
I think they've done a really good job of it. I guess Peacemaker was a cool character to choose from all the other ones, because Harley Quinn, she's already had her spin-off movie. Bloodsport, even though Idris Elba is a cool character, I don't know if the character would have, been interesting enough to have a show, even though he was cool for that movie and he was the main character. I think they chose well with Peacemaker.
Yeah, I think out of all the characters, he's probably the only one that really could have had its show, with the exception, I guess, Harley Quinn could have. It's a good choice. It's an interesting character as the fact that he is kind of an he considers himself a superhero, but he obviously was serving time in jail. And others don't see him that way. They think he's racist, sexist, only kills minorities. But I guess we know that so far from kind of his upbringing, his dad raised him that way, and he's trying to do the right thing, but kind of does it the wrong way, and that's what got him in prison. We might find out a bit more about that, but it's a good character to choose because he was part of the Suicide Squad, but he's not a villain, wasn't trying to take over the world. He was trying to do the right thing in the wrong way.
Yeah.
Do you think none of the other characters really could have pulled it off? What do you think? Do you think the rat catcher could have, or
had own show? No.
Yeah, I think you'd lose interest in being able to control the rats. You did say, is shark, like the killer shark, getting one? Show, or?
don't know.
I feel like we read something about it or maybe someone was saying they should because he comes from a family of other sharks that are similar. It might be interesting. But maybe he had the ability to, but how much dialogue can you have with a shark that doesn't say much? From the first episode, what are we kind of left with? What kind of happens?
Basically, Peacemaker, from the events of the movie, we get this kind of previously what happened in the Suicide Squad, and then he wakes up from what happened with not really that much damage, and then he gets released from the hospital, and then we get this funny scene with the janitors. Oh, are the cops? Is anyone watching? And then the janitor's like, no, and then he gets basically assigned a new mission.
Yeah, so some kind of guy that must be... So it's the government that's set up the Suicide Squad, is it? Or the CIA or something like that?
Yeah, different branch.
Yeah, so they have got someone else that works for them to head up a new team, and some of the people that are in the team are there as kind of a punishment for their role in what happened with the Suicide Squad. And they have been assigned Peacemaker, but as of the first episode, we don't know what their role is. We do come to find out that the female character that we kind of start off with, she is the daughter of the lady that set up the Suicide Squad.
Yes.
So we get to know that she's some way tied into that, and she was given that role to oversee everyone and to look after them. But we don't really know what expertise she brings. She doesn't look like much of a fighter. She isn't the IT expert. I don't know. I don't know what she brings to the role. But that's kind of what we've got. What did you think about him and his pet?
Eagle.
Yeah, his sidekick.
Thought it was funny, like what we saw from the trailer when the eagle hugged him. It was a pretty funny moment.
Yeah, I think it's a cool sidekick to have. Like, he's so American that he has an eagle as his sidekick. Yeah, I guess we'll find out how as a sidekick he helps, because so far all we've seen him do is like catch a rat or a rodent of some sort and give it to him as a present almost. Tell us about his dynamic with his dad and what we learn about his dad.
Basically, he shows up to his dad to ask for a different helmet and to see him, and his dad isn't really happy to, but there's a lot of questions because his dad, with the helmets and kind of building them, so got a lot of questions of how did his dad come across technology or the know-how to build the helmets?
Yeah, because he doesn't seem like a smart guy. He seems a bit, arrogant, racist, and a bit of a redneck. So yeah, that's an interesting dynamic. I guess we might hopefully find out why Peacemaker is so called an expert in every weapon known to man, as they keep referring. So finding out how he learnt to become an expert in every weapon. What about other scenes? What about the fight scene he had with the female character that was kind of like a leopard or a panther, or she was some kind of beast?
I thought it was pretty funny. We finally got the undies scene from the trailer.
Yeah, get to see him dancing. But so what? She stabs him a few times, and do you buy that he would, at fear of his own life, decide to jump out of a building?
I guess so.
I don't know. I feel like jumping out the building could be certain death, where he may have been able to fight her, but then he survives it, with really no repercussions. And we get to see his helmet. So out of that, what helmet did he end up choosing?
The one that can basically explode something?
Yeah, it was I think he said sonic boom activate.
Yeah.
So it obviously uses some kind of sound waves that can blow up and explode things, but he kind of destroyed his car and ruined the car park he was in, and that's where the episode finishes off. Other scenes and topics, so we've got the female blonde character. I think they called it Heartache, something like that. What do you think's going on with that? Where do you think, what's her role in the show?
I guess well, because she did something wrong, I guess, kind of redeeming. I think they're kind of all trying to redeem themselves. I guess she's kind of the girl that you don't want to kind of come across and kind of mistreat because, like we saw in the bar scene, she can handle herself.
Yeah, so do you think she's some kind of like special forces agent, like maybe like a
CIA, yeah.
yeah, something like a Marvel equivalent of like a Peggy Carter kind of thing?
Yeah.
And you reckon it's leading towards some kind of love interest with her and Peacemaker?
Yeah.
Because yeah, she refers to him as handsome, and he gets all like chuffed over that. But then he's also very very sexist and says some wild things, like he propositioned her to sleep with him out of. I didn't think that's where the episode was going to go. He referred to the waitress as sweet cheeks. He said if you know, so they do want to really pass off this that he's you know, a bit sexist and derogatory. What other talking points from the episode or things you want to bring up?
Have you got introduced to what their mission is yet?
Through the first episode, no. It's just this new gentleman has came on board and he's heading up the team, but Peacemaker's a bit suspect on him because he said he was a mercenary of some sort. So I'm not sure what their agenda is going to be yet. My first instinct, it's probably going to be something probably not as epic as you'd think. But I think the show's going to be more about character building and the entertainment along the way, opposed to the actual mission.
Yes. I have really enjoyed watching the show since I'm further ahead. I feel like its main problem is that if you weren't a fan of the Suicide Squads, the movie, this show won't change your mind about it. It's very much a show that I don't think it brings in any new people into the equation. But being that said, I think it does a good job of... It does a good line between humour and action. Like, I think it does that very well. And unlike the Marvel shows, I think Peacemaker does a really good job of not taking itself so seriously.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to make it good, that it's not going to be too serious. I guess you won't know till we get further in whether it's going to get multiple seasons or whether it builds to something else, which is kind of what Marvel have tried to do. But one thing is, I do think it pays to have seen the Suicide Squad movie.
Definitely, yeah.
Like, my wife hadn't, and I've found it hard to try and explain who Peacemaker is and why he's in the predicament he is. It was much easier. Would have been easier for her to watch it than me to try and explain it, because it is a Suicide Squad in itself is an odd concept. But yeah, it definitely pays to watch it. You could maybe get away with it because they do give a bit of a recap, but it helps.
Yeah. Do you find it strange that they released 3 episodes at once and then now we're going to get the weekly thing? Or would you prefer it if they released maybe half? Like, do you find 3 is a weird number?
It is a weird idea, because I said to you last week, I said shows that do that, I feel that maybe they release 3 because they want to say the first episode might be a bit slow. But we need it to be, so we're going to then put in a couple of extra episodes to get you hooked. But I felt the episode was good enough. I think if we only got that one and I had to wait 7 days for the next, I would have been okay with that. I don't feel the need to rush and watch the next one because it was good enough. It's not that I didn't feel the need to rush, sorry. I felt it wasn't like I finished that episode and go, oh, I don't think I'm going to give this any more chance. Well, my thought is if a show brings out 2 or 3 episodes, it's their way of saying, don't give up after the first episode. Watch the first 2, watch the first 3, and then you're going to get it. So it is weird. You may as well bring them all out at once or once a week, because 3 at once and then weekly after that seems odd. I can't understand their logic behind it unless the first episode was bad, which it wasn't.
No.
So it's not a bad thing. It's just an odd move. So yeah, unless. Well, my thought is maybe it was released earlier in another country and then we're just getting it because they're at their third episode, but I don't think that's correct either. I think everywhere got it at the same time. Yeah, I don't know why. I think it's odd. Whether it's the best move, I'm not sure, but I like weekly releases, so I've watched the first one and I may not get to watch the next one for a few more days, so it's kind of like a weekly release for me. Anything else you want to talk about in this episode?
Episode 1. Did you like when he finally did you like the scene with the taxi scene when he's like, oh, could be like $1 million?
Yeah, he had all this money from the country they obviously went to in Suicide Squad. Yeah, he's like, oh, it's like a lottery, you know, it could be worth nothing, it could be worth $1 million. And I was like, nah, it's definitely not $1 million. And he's like, oh, what's in your bag? And he ends up with a helmet. So I'm intrigued which helmet he chose to get. I felt that was a setup, and it kind of was that him giving away the helmet was so that he would then have to get a new helmet.
From his dad. Yeah.
At the time, I thought it was maybe, because we've seen him with the helmet, maybe this is a reason to get rid of it. Because if he just suddenly stopped wearing the helmet, you go, well, why? Where if he goes, oh, I no longer have the helmet, I had to give it away, that would make sense, but he just went and got more. So my theory of went out the window, but then it opens up now. We did it as an introduction to seeing his dad. But he could have went to seeing his dad just to get the eagle too, so... yeah. I guess it was a reason to prove that he could get multiple helmets.
Yeah.
Because I would have thought the helmet was just basic. It was protective opposed to having abilities. But yeah, that was a funny scene. I think it's odd to think that someone... Like, if you were a taxi driver and someone just hopped in your taxi and goes, drive now, fast. You'd be like, well, am I getting chased? Like, I feel like you'd like, get out of my taxi. Like, who would be happy to do that, be part of a possible chase?
Yeah, did you find that scene funny? He's like, oh...
Yeah, it's only in movies. I would like to know if we were to go get in a taxi right now and we hopped in like, oh yeah, go quick. They'd be like, get out of my taxi. Like, I'm not getting involved in whatever illegal activities you're partaking in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have any more talking points. Is there anything else you think we've missed from the episode?
Are you interested to see how the person that was ringing him, how that's going to develop?
Yeah, I think that will be some kind of sidekick based on the pictures I've seen. I think it's going to be the kind of like a character wearing a green suit who we actually see in the intro dancing as well. So I don't know who's going to be the actor to play that person or what their ability is going to be, but that will be some part of his like gang of vigilantes. I think, was he called Vigilante? Yeah. So his friend, his name is Vigilante. So see how that goes.
I also think with the show that it has a it definitely ends with a cliffhanger in the third episode. So that's probably why they did the 3 episodes.
Yeah, that could explain it, because the first episode wasn't really a cliffhanger as such. Like, he's left there on the floor after killing this lady and we see an ambulance coming or police. So, yeah, it's not that big of a cliffhanger, so maybe that's it. They wanted to finish on a cliffhanger. You might have it there.
So, has the first episode got you hooked or has it turned you off?
Oh, hooked for sure. I think it was as good as I thought it was going to be, maybe even a bit better. Because I was unsure, because DC, you know, they can be hit and miss with things, but I think that they've hit the mark so far.
So it's definitely worthy of being in your top 5 most anticipated shows? So
yeah.
far?
What do you think, based on
3 episodes?
The episodes you've seen? Has it hit the mark? Or
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have it in your top 5 anticipated?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think, is it better than you thought it was going to be, worse, or around the same?
It depends how they take the storyline that they're doing, how they do it. But so far, I think it well deserves being there.
Okay, cool.
Well, thank you for helping, Luke. Hope you're all enjoying Peacemaker as well. Like and subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye bye.